have defined data resilience. You've discussed the negative impacts when an organization is not resilient. What are the benefits of data resilience?
And Kevin, this is the best question because this answers the question why. So on the one hand, you might think, gosh, yes, Guy, yeah, it sounds like fear mongering. No data, no availability. Someone bumps over a server, Jim's forever on leave in the backcountry. But there's a much bigger reason to look at data resilience. And let's start with something that all too common plagues many organizations, and it's so called the strategy gap. And it's the gap in performance between an organization's strategy and its actual performance against that strategy. It's a well-documented phenomenon. Folks say this is what we're going to do, and it comes to year end, and we say, oh, we only managed to do this. And one of the challenges here, if you do a take on data resilience, is being able to execute your organization strategy and minimize that strategy gap, especially in the case of data-driven strategies. And that's where it's particularly important. More and more organizations, using data to inform strategy, to inform decision making, and becoming more data-driven in that respect, as opposed to sheer gut feel or something to that extent. The challenge is that if things go wrong with your data, and the thing is that they do, that strategy gap widens. Oh gosh, the server fell over. Jim's still on leave. We lost $1 billion that week because it took us a week to get that thing back up and running. Versus if you had a resilience plan in place, you knew Jim was going to be on leave, you had policies and procedures to follow, you had that succession for all of those key roles, your data quality was up to scratch, you had your content management, your reporting had attestation, you had proactive monitoring, all of these things in place. Data is then not your constraint in the performance of the strategy. It might be in other ways, but in terms of its availability in the ways defined in order to fulfill the strategy, that is not the problem. And that is probably the most significant benefit of a data resilience plan or an approach to data resilience, is it minimizes, at least from the data side, that strategy gap. But there's more. And in a world where shall we call them citizens or customers are losing trust in government, in their institutions, in their corporations, this is one way for an organization to demonstrate that, yes, customer, we realize that we are stewards of your data, and we demonstrate that that our representation of that data as who you are is accurate and kept up to date. That enhances your reputation. There's none of this stuff going out about this, you've got this vendor sending me emails, or sorry, this this organization sending me these horrible snail mail letters past due when I'm not even a customer, or when I closed my account 5 years ago. You don't have those reputational impacts. And really, if the closer you can get to data incidents, surely they happen all the time, but there are appropriate controls for all of those risks that you've identified, at least most of the risks you've identified in your data risk assessment, such that these kinds of things are highly unlikely, if ever, to happen. And what that does is it maintains, if not grows, your credibility with your customer base, but it also starts growing the trust, because your customer can see, wow, these are responsible stewards of my data. They're making sure it's up to date. They're checking. There's never been an issue around, I've never received an email that was inappropriate or with wrong information. This is really important. And you will hear that one of the biggest drivers of digital transformation is that whole the customer journey, benefit to the customer. In a way, data resilience, and for myself as a chief data officer, it's an important component of that, is anything that I can do to ensure that that customer part, and we've got a 7-pillar model for digital transformation, but that customer part is protected at all costs in that journey, in that transformation. But there's more. So, and I touched on it lightly in one of the other questions, is let's say you get that dreaded MRIA, matter requiring immediate attention from the regulator, and you'd like to be able to respond within a couple of hours, but it takes you 3 weeks to respond, and the regulator starts saying, hey, gosh, I'm coming through for an audit. Why did it take you 3 months to respond to my MRIA? sorry, 3 months, 3 weeks to respond to my MRIA. And that's even worse than getting the MRIA when the regulator wants to come and audit. Certainly a really big benefit to ensuring data resilience, doing that risk assessment, identifying these controls way beyond just the technology component, enables you to respond not only very quickly to MRIAs, because everything's operating, you understand your data. Jim's on leave, it doesn't matter, because we've got something to at least follow in Jim's footsteps, because there's processes, there's procedures, all of these kinds of things are in place, and you can do it quickly. Your data is well organized. You can produce the reports. You know what the different data elements mean. You've got good data models so that you understand the relationship between different elements. And it's not only for regulators, it's even internally. You need your CEO or senior executive or even management level needs to make a decision quickly to be able to access the data, to be able to not spend 3 weeks wrangling data, trying to find the stuff and then finding it's all wrong and trying to fix the stuff and discovering, oh, the window of opportunity is gone. The window of opportunity was 3 hours. It took us 3 weeks to just get the data together. We lost a brilliant opportunity. So for sure, just being able to respond quickly is probably the greatest strengths of data resilience. And especially in the fields, like I said, you hear today, folks in analytics, folks in artificial intelligence in these spaces, just taking an enormous amount of time to produce the outcomes. Never mind the governance issues. Like I said, that's a totally different conversation for a different day. But that is a huge benefit. Being able to respond quickly in a rapidly changing market, priceless. So, Kevin, yeah, I hope there's 3 good examples, really strong reasons why to do data resilience as opposed to, yeah, hang on, I've got to make sure things don't go wrong. This is how you help things go right.